Welcome to Riley's Geeks. I'm your host, Riley Ortiz, and today, finally, we're talking about what? EndGame, baby! 1 week, it made $2 billion already. Great movie. I loved that movie. Actually, liked it better than Infinity War. Okay, I have to let you know, guys, that this is a spoiler video. If you haven't watched Avengers EndGame, please don't hit play. I don't want to ruin that for you guys. So please watch the movie first, and then you can watch my video. Alright, so going down. Let's do the Easter eggs or the cameos, okay? Reference from the comics. This is why I love this movie so much. It had a bunch of comics reference and future things that is going to happen in the MCU that we actually don't know because there was no end credit scene, but there was something in the credits. So we're gonna talk about that later, further on. So we see one of the Russo brothers doing a cameo, and he is talking to Captain America, Steve Rogers, because Steve Rogers doing like a support group, a counseling group, like Sam Wilson did in Winter Soldier. So they're talking, and one of the person that talks of his experience and everything that he's going through after the snap is the Russo brothers. So the second person that is next to the Russo brother, he was silent. The only guy who was talking actually was the Russo brother. The rest were just listening in Captain America. So this guy his name is Jim Starlin, and he's actually the creator of Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet comic. Besides that, he did Gamora and Drax. So he's the creator of those three of this movie. Okay, let's talk about the best cameo in the entire movie. Mr. Stan Lee, his last cameo. So when Captain America and Iron Man, they go back to the 70s, here comes this car, and the bumper sticker says "Enough said," and the guy that was driving shouted, "Make love, not war." So that's his cameo, right? So he's actually not doing any character like the one that cut Thor's hair in Ragnarok, FedEx guy. No, he was actually doing his own cameo. Like Stan Lee was doing Stan Lee back in the 70s. So here comes Rocket and comes Thor, and they are in Asgard. And they're back in 2014 in the movie The Dark World to get what? To get one of the Infinity Stones. He goes and talks to his mom. Before he was avoiding his mom. But he eventually talks to his mom, and Rocket gets the reality stone out of Jane Foster, and here comes Thor, and he just do like this, and he takes the hammer from that time, because remember his hammer got like destroyed in Ragnarok. His sister Hela. Thor with Stormbreaker and his hammer from the past, and they're fighting Thanos on Earth. It's him, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. So Iron Man gets very bad hit, and he's still down. Thor starts fighting with him with both weapons. He goes with the hammer, and he goes with Stormbreaker, and in some point the hammer gets thrown away, and Thanos grabs Stormbreaker and tries to kill Thor with the Stormbreaker. And out of nowhere, and I'm telling you, out of nowhere, Thanos gets hit with the hammer. And it's not Thor because he was surprised. And I'm telling you, this is my favorite scene of the entire movie, is this one. And when the hammer returns to the person that is actually handling the hammer, guess what? It's Captain America. I started crying of emotion. I was excited because this is actually going into comics too. It's a reference from the comics, and it's actually came out with Secret Empire in a free comic book day, and it's about this one. In this comic, that's how it shows when Captain America actually is worthy to pick the hammer. The whole scene, the fight scene of him with the hammer, Captain America with the hammer and his shield, and try to beat Thanos, it was amazing. It was so crazy. I saw it twice, the movie. And both of the time that I saw that movie, that scene made me cry of emotion. I was so happy. I was like, yes, finally, we see some stuff from the comics and actually in the MCU. And another thing that goes on into the comic is that Thanos actually breaks Captain America's shield. So this is why I just love this movie so much, because it makes a lot of reference from the comics. Another part is when Captain America hears Sam Wilson saying, "Cap, do you read me?" Oh my God. And then he actually says, "On your left." And this is crazy because in Winter Soldier, Captain America meets Sam Wilson. Captain America is working out, and he's running, he's jogging, and he's actually running like faster because he's a super soldier. And here comes Sam Wilson. He's just running, jogging, and every time Captain America passes him, he says, "On your left." Every single time. So this time it was actually Sam Wilson to tell him, "Hey, on your left." Okay, so how they get everybody back? It's that in the first hour and a half of the movie, they went to get the Infinity Stone back in time, and they used the quantum. So everybody gets the Infinity Stone back. Everybody goes to a separate mission. They have their time. They have what time of the year and what stone and everything. The only person that doesn't come back is the two characters that went to get the Soul Stone. So here is Clint, hot guy, and now his name is Ronan, and then Natasha, Black Widow. They both get to get the Soul Stone. So one of them doesn't return. Spoiler, okay, here comes the spoiler. Black Widow dies in EndGame and never comes back, okay? So he was devastated because Natasha is like more than a best friend, like a sister to him. And both are being like, have a history together as his friends and supporting each other. So she dies, he comes back, and that's how they get the stone, the Soul Stone. Thor was getting the Reality Stone, and with Rocket. So when they actually come back, the first three people that come back is T'Challa, Black Panther, Okoye, and Nakia. And it's like crazy. After him, here comes Falcon. Awesome entrance. And we cannot forget our friendly neighborhood, Spider-Man, okay? Here it is, Spider-Man. And after that, everybody came out, like literally everybody. We're gonna see the Asgardians, we're gonna see Galaxy, the Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody comes back, everybody. So they're fighting the army of Thanos on Earth, and all the children of Thanos, obviously they're alive because these are from the past. This Thanos is from the past. It's not the one in the present, because the one in the present, guess what? Another spoiler, Thor chops his head off. So let's talk about how Thor is one of the only ones that you can actually physically see how everything affected for him. Like, he went like from being muscular and being fit into somebody that gets to a depression and goes very, very down and starts drinking and eating, eating junk stuff, and saying that he's okay, but he knows, and you guys know, that he's not okay. So this idea of being fat was Chris Hemsworth's idea. That's what I heard, to make this character different. But you're showing somebody that is going through a lot. He lost his best friend. He lost his brother. He lost Asgard, like all the people, that were in that ship in Ragnarok at the end by the hand of the Mad Titan. Okay, so now let's talk about Captain Marvel. Where was she? She was barely in the movie. She was only at the beginning of the movie. She was just not even there. She was just a hologram talking with Black Widow, and that was it. That was it. At the end of the movie, when the huge fight scene was going on, she appeared, and that was it. That's literally, that was it. She never helped anybody to get stones back. She was just in space. She was just in a mission. So let's talk about that part when Scarlet Witch sees Thanos face to face. I know Thanos doesn't know who she is, because remember, Thanos is from the past. But she knows, and she says, I'm gonna make you remember. And she has the power. She's the strongest one. In the MCU, they want to make Captain Marvel the stronger character, but no, it's actually, in comics, it's actually Scarlet Witch. So actually, it made a point in the movie. It just did, because it was the only one that was actually beating his ass, literally, So he had an order to fire everybody. He didn't care about his army, to order to be free from that attack. Let's talk about when they were passing the gauntlet. So they were passing the gauntlet, so anybody from Thanos' army, or even Thanos himself, would get it, and make another snap. So here comes Spider-Man, and he gets beat up because of all that fire coming up from the ships down, and he sees Captain Marvel approach him and say, "Hey kid, how you doing?" He says, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker," He gives the gauntlet to her, and he says, I don't know how you, by yourself, you're going to be alone, going through that. And here comes the woman empowerment. Man, this is awesome. And somebody, I can't remember who was it. I can't remember, it was Okoye or somebody else did, and says she's not alone. And everyone came out. All the women came out. So I think this is a reference from a comic. It's called A-Force. There's all women's. You're gonna have in the comic is She-Hulk. We don't have a She-Hulk in the MCU. We haven't never seen a She-Hulk. We know about Hulk, but we never had seen She-Hulk. So, and there's a bunch of other characters too. Captain Marvel is one of them too. So how awesome is this? You know, reference from the comics. So they're actually fighting to get the gauntlet. Thanos gets the gauntlet, you know, even though you try. And Captain Marvel comes in and try holding his hand so he cannot do a fist or snap again. And here comes Thanos, the Mad Titan, tries to hit her with, you know, like with a head. Doesn't do nothing. So he gets mad, obviously, and he grabs from the gauntlet the Power Stone and then hits Captain Marvel. So you have to remember that in Infinity War, Doctor Strange saw 14,605 realities and ways and outcomes, and only one, the Avengers, wins. So when they're in battle in EndGame, Tony sees Doctor Strange and he asks, "Hey, so this is the one that we actually win? Is this the one?" And Doctor Strange responds is like, "If I told you, it would never happen." So we go back to that scene with Captain Marvel is fighting with Thanos and not making Thanos do the snap or close the fist to use the gauntlet. And Thanos has actually to use one of the Infinity Stones to hit Captain Marvel. So he used the Power Stone. So Captain Marvel blows away after that hit. Here comes Iron Man, and he actually looks at Doctor Strange in the distance, and Doctor Strange, the only thing that he does, he says, "One more. You have one more chance, man." So here comes Iron Man, Tony, and he starts fighting again with Thanos and trying to get the gauntlet out of his hand. And suddenly, Thanos, I think he hits him, and he goes in the distance, and he's like in his knees. Thanos says, "I'm inevitable," and tried to do the snap. Nothing happens. He looks the glove. There's no stones. Here comes Tony, and Tony has the whole entire of the Infinity Stones showing up in his in one of his arms. And people are asking, "Oh, how he did that?" It's just, remember, guys, the technology of the gauntlet that they made is the same technology of his suit. So I guess transferring like the data from one to another one, it's just like that. That's Tony Stark, you know. That's why he was a genius on doing his suit. And going back to that scene, and he says, "And I am Iron Man," and he snaps the fingers, and all the army of Thanos starts disappearing, doing the dust. But he is so damaged. He's burned. He has injuries or criticals. The power that the whole Infinity Stones make when they do the snap is just like the same thing that they did to Thanos. And Thanos is a huge guy. He fought in Infinity War. He fought the Hulk without using any stone. He did have the gauntlet in his hand, but he didn't use them, and he beat Hulk. So he's very, very, very powerful for being, you know, without the stones, and beat Hulk. So yes, and at the end we see that Iron Man dies because of all the injuries. So he sacrifices himself for humanity, for the universe. And after that, we see Captain America trying to restore back in the timeline the stones. He takes the hammer, he takes his shield, he goes back in time. But when Hulk tried to bring him back after 15 seconds, he doesn't show up in the machine. He doesn't show up from the quantum machine. So at the distance, there's a guy sitting down towards the lake, and Sam Wilson and Bucky are there, and Bucky said, "Hey, look, just go." And he actually make Sam Wilson, approach to the guy. And what we see is what? Old Captain America. Old Steve Rogers, and that's actually in the comics. And in the comics, there's two Captain America, two Steve Rogers, the old one and the current one. So he passes the shield to Sam Wilson. He said, "You're now the new Captain America." So at the end of the movie, we don't have a end credit scene, but we do have a sound. So if you actually stayed it a little bit longer and heard it, it's the same sound that when Iron Man in Iron Man 1, he was a hostage, he was making Mark 1, and he was hammering the steel, and he was making the suit, the first one. So I think it's a good tribute for Iron Man, giving his life for saving the universe. Okay, so this is it for Avengers EndGame. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Don't forget to hit like. Share this video. Comment. What was the best part of the movie that you liked? What was the character that you actually liked? Don't forget to subscribe. And stay tuned for my next video on Spider-Man Far From Home. Thank you guys. And this is Riley Ortiz on Riley's Geeks. We love you 3000.